Hello, Jersey. Crit. Welcome, everybody. Hello, Rick. So, when I scheduled this live stream, it was, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours before I heard about the passing of Jeff Beck. So, I probably may not have even have done this, but it was, it was already going and everything. So that sucks. I'm not going to come, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that I'm like, that I was this huge fan, because I wasn't. Hello, Brian. Welcome. I think he was a great player. I mean, as far as getting the stuff with like bending and stuff like that, he was probably the best, like had such a good pitch and everything. And I remember in high school, somebody gave me a tape of Blow by Blow, and I didn't get it at the time. I totally didn't get it. It wasn't until just many years later before I could like really appreciate it and everything. But he was definitely an icon, like influenced thousands of players, or probably more than that, maybe in the close to the million range, who knows. But yeah, so that's like a mega bummer. I don't have anything that I can do. Like, I don't know how to play any of his stuff, so it isn't like I could like show you guys like some Jeff Beck stuff or whatever. But so yeah, so I already had this scheduled and everything, and we're going to be looking at is Plush by Stone Temple Pilots. Stone Temple Pilots was, in my opinion, one of the best bands out of that whole 90s, grunge era. Them and Alice in Chains, I pretty much feel like that they led the thing. And anyhow, this is a cool song, and it's not too difficult to play. It's got a couple of things in it that if you're a beginner, they're a little challenging, but we'll get through it. So yeah, so there is a a link in the description where you can download the tabs so you can follow along. So if everybody wants to do that. And if you like the content, you like what I'm doing, hit that thumbs up button. All that stuff really does help. You hear every YouTuber talking about, the algorithm and all that. I don't understand it. I don't know if anybody understands it, but it does help me to continue to do this for you. So yeah, show me a little love and hit that thumbs up button. Consider subscribing to the channel, leave me a comment, all that good stuff. And I'm always open for suggestions for things that, if there's things that you guys would like to learn, if it, if it's like a technique or like a song or riffs or anything like that, I'm always open to suggestions. So if you have any ideas for things like that you'd like to see covered in the future, leave a comment for me. Bourbon? I don't mind if I do. All right, so hope everybody's had a chance to download those tabs. Whoa. All right, so it starts. Here, just let me try I need a new mouse. The button keeps getting stuck. All right, yeah, so it starts off with this intro that's probably like the most recognizable part of the song. Even if for some reason you don't know who they are, and you're not familiar with the song, as soon as you hear this riff, you'll go, oh yeah, I've heard that before, because this song was extremely popular back in the day. Oh, you started trying to do the cage system? Yeah, I'm not really a huge fan of that entirely. Not that I think it has like anything in it that's wrong or bad or anything like that, but that method isn't really for me. All right, so we start off. It's a G5. So all we're doing is we're just fretting the the third fret of the B string with your third finger, and then the third fret of the high E string with your fourth finger, and the G string open. Now you can, when you do this, if you hit the D string open too, it still sounds good. So we start that off, and these are eighth notes on beat 1. So we got 1 and then we rest on the downbeat of 2. And then on the and of 2, we go to this B flat minor 6. So a lot of these chords have like crazy names, and I may have said that wrong. I have the wrong glasses on, and I can't read the little tiny writing what it says there. But anyway, all we're going to do is we're going to keep our third, or excuse me, our pinky here on the third fret of the high E, and we're going to there's a couple of ways you could do it. You could do it like that, or you could change chords. I actually think that I change fingers, so this is the way I do it. From this, then I move my third finger from the third fret of the B string to the high E, and then second finger onto the third fret of the G string, and then first finger onto the second fret of the B string. So it's like a D7 chord, but up a half step. You're going to buy me a big magnifying glass. Now I just need my other pair of glasses. I have 3 pairs of glasses because I can't afford to get the trifocal thing. And these are the ones. These are like my far away, and like I have like some for like nearer distance that I didn't used to really rely on, but pretty much I'm gonna have it now, or I can't see. So we've got that 1 and then we rest on 2, and then on the and of 2, we hit that. Like I said, it looks like a D7, but just up a half step. So we hit that on the and of 2, and it's tied to a half note. So it rings out for beats 3 and 4. So like 1 and 2 and 3, 4. And then starting on the second measure, we're going to play. We're going to play this A minor 7. So it's not like your traditional shape, but I just catch the chords up in there, man. So we've got we're still here on the third fret of the high E string, and we're going to move our third finger, or excuse me, your second finger, from being here on the third fret of the G string. We're going to move it down a half step, so it's on the second fret, and then our first finger onto the first fret of the B string. So it's almost kind of like like the shape for D minor. If you just move your first finger down a string and your third finger up a string, and you get that. So we hit that on the and of 2. So it's like the same timing as that first measure was. The only difference is that we hit it on the and of 2, but this time it's tied to a quarter note, so it only takes care of beat 3. So we hit that, rest on the downbeat of 2, and then we're going to take our first and second finger off. So now the G string and the B string are both open, and we're on the third fret of the high E, which actually technically makes it just a G. And we hit that on the and of 2, and it's tied to beat 3. So it's like 2 and 3. Then we're going to like walk that chord back up. So we hit the G. Now we're going to put our first finger onto the first fret of the B string and keep our third finger here on the high E. It doesn't move. And then move that note on the B string up to the second fret. So it's like, and then it just starts over again. What's what called, Jersey? All right. Oh, I thought I said at the beginning that the song is called "Plush," and the band is Stone Temple Pilots. So when I'm playing it just by myself, I won't like actually put that rest in there like that because I feel like that it disrupts the flow of the song. So if you were going to like play this like an acoustic guitar around the campfire kind of a thing, I would play it more like that, just so it doesn't have those weird like kind of hesitations in there. So it repeats that a total of 4 times on the beginning. Whoops. Sorry, I'm trying to read the next measure and not thinking what I'm doing here. But anyway, after you repeat it 4 times, we're on the. We just come to that G and we just let that ring out. And then that's where we're going to go into the verse, like where the vocals actually come in. All right, so that's the that's the intro, and like I said, it's kind of like the main riff that that I'm sure everybody's probably familiar with that. And then, like I said, after that, it goes into the verse, and then so this is where we're going to be looking at some other chords and stuff. So before we move on, does anybody have any questions about that intro? Oh, another thing too, I'm just in standard tuning, and I can't remember, but it seems like they're tuned down a half step on this song. I'm not 100% sure on that. But anyway, if you're in standard tuning, you go to play along with the song and it just sounds, awful, then I'm probably right that it's tuned down a half step. But it could be in standard. I just don't recall. All right. So for the verse, we've got G, just regular old G chord that you probably already know, hopefully. And then we have a D over F sharp. So that's the D slash F sharp. So for those of you that don't know what that means, when you see a chord written like that, and they call that a slash chord, but actually what you wouldn't call it D slash F sharp, you call it D over F sharp. So what it is that the first letter is telling you what kind of a chord it is. So in this case, it's a D major. And then the note after the slash is telling you what your bass note is. So typically when you play, like a D major chord, our bass note is D, is the root. But in this case, we're going to do an inversion. We're going to make the lowest note. Well, in this case, an F sharp. We're going to make it the third. So when you play a D major chord, the 3 notes are D, A, and F sharp. So we have an A right here, so we can play this string open. So technically, if you play D and you started on A, it would be an A. It would be a D over A. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our thumb and we're going to pick up the 2nd fret here of the low E string, which is an F sharp. So now we've got F sharp, A, D, F sharp. So that's our other chord, D over F sharp. Online it says E, A, D, G, B, E. Yeah, that's your strings open, E, A, D, G, B, E. All right, so we've got that G, we've got D over F sharp, and then we have F. So in this case, you're doing this full-on bar chord. So if you're a beginner and bar chords are still really tough, you could technically just substitute it with the open position F like this, that may or may not be easier. I've had some beginner students that it was easier to do this than it was to do this. But you can get away with that. Then we've got a C, and then we've got an E flat major 7. So this is going to be the chord that when I'm playing this, that you're going to see me screw up on more than once, I'm sure. I always grab it in the wrong place. So anyhow, what we're going to do is we're going to come up here to the 6th fret on the A string with your pinky. That's E flat. And then we're going to go here to the 5th fret on the D string with your 3rd finger. And then your 1st finger is going to bar the 3rd fret. Well, I guess you don't have to do the. Actually, I guess you wouldn't want to. Yeah, you just want to get the G and the B string. Which hottie hooter? I'm not sure what you're asking, but welcome, by the way. Yeah. So anyhow, those are the chords for the verse. So the verse has this, the strum for this has this kind of a swing to it. So we start off, we're going to play 8th notes on for beat 1. So we've got 1 and then we have on the down. Oh, what is this guitar? Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I probably could have figured that out if I'd have looked at that long enough. This is a Spear Gladius HT-SI. HT is for hardtail and SI is for scratched iron for the paint job. Hello, Dano. Welcome. We are learning how to play the song Plush by Stone Temple Pilots. There is a link in the description where you can download the tabs for this and then follow along. And even though you're being late, you can go back and watch the rerun to catch the first part of it or whatever. Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for joining us. All right, so we're going to do that 1 and then we've got this mute strum. So we're doing this on the downbeat of 2, and then and it's an 8th note. So it's 2, and then E, and then and back to the D over F sharp. So you got like that. So it's got that kind of a swing kind of a feel to it. Then to the F, to C, and then to that E flat major 7. See, I just did it. I always want to play it a half step sharp. I always want to play E instead of E flat. Oh, Cyborg, welcome. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, you can always watch the rerun, and there's a link in the description where you can download the tabs. Yeah, so that's what I was saying. I'm always gonna. So there's one. We'll keep a tally of how many times I do that wrong to that chord, and I really love that voicing. I think that's a really nice sounding chord. So you got the. I forgot to go to the C. Okay, so the strum, when it goes to that E flat major 7, is a little bit different. So we're hitting it on the and of 4, and then we're doing it on major 7 is beat one and then we're doing the mute strum on the downbeat of 2 and then a 16th note of the and of 2 and then strumming the chord again is another 16th note. So it's kind of weird. So we're like and 1 and 2 E and 3 and 4 and then goes back to the F right at the on the it would be like the second 16th note of beat 4, but it's a dotted eighth note. So it basically rings out for the equivalent of 3/16 notes. Hey, well, Jersey, this isn't like necessarily like the idea that you're just going to be able to just play right along with it. I mean, everybody's at different levels, so uh, you'll have the music, you'll have the video, and you can work yourself up to it. There's going to be parts of this that are easier than others. This, in my opinion, is hard just because it's kind of an awkward chord to grab. It's not a real common shape that I use all the time, and for some whatever reason my brain does not want it to be E flat, it wants it to be E, which just really doesn't sound good. Yeah, so that verse, gosh dang it, we go to that F and then back again. So like the and I feel time's a waste to go like that. I'm not gonna sit here and try to sing it for you, but anyhow, hopefully you get the idea. So if you're fairly new and like stuff with like these mute strums is something you're not really familiar with or don't really know how to do it, kind of want to talk about that a little bit. So when I do the G, as soon as I strum it, I just take my third finger here, well, my pinky kind of comes along with it, and I just lay it across the string. So I'm not pressing down, I'm just touching the strings. So that way when I strum, you just get that, that percussive sound. Then we got to go to the D over F sharp. So same thing. Now, depending upon what chord you're doing, sometimes you can do that without having to actually do anything other than if you're doing a full on, like with the F, all I do is just release the pressure. I don't have to move anything. Still, just have all my fingers in the same place. So that way I could mute and then push it back down like that. Keep trying to go to the wrong chord there too. All right. So after the verse, it goes through that a couple of times, and then it goes on to the next section, which is the pre-chorus. So that verse is a little bit more entailed than like the intro was. So if anybody has any questions about that, they're not, ask away. And if anyone just has any guitar questions in general, it doesn't matter if it's about this song or whatever necessarily. You're just to play some guitar and chat. Oh, nice. Yeah, they're one of my like all-time favorites. When Scott Weiland died, that was like the only time ever when it was like a celebrity kind of death that like really kind of bugged me because I just really liked his whole catalog of stuff he did. Velvet Revolver. Didn't like that as much as Stone Temple Pilots, but uh, you know, talented guy, wrote some cool stuff. All right. So this pre-chorus part is actually kind of similar to the intro, where it's kind of a recognizable riff, and it's also because when you play it or hear it, it remind you of other stuff because it's kind of a common chord progression. So we're going to start off with a D suspended 2. So you just take your regular D chord, but take your middle finger off so the high string is open. It's D suspended 2. Then we're going to go to an E minor 7 over C. So it's pretty simple. We've got our, when we're playing the D suspended 2, our third finger is here on the third fret of the B string. So when we go to the E minor 7 over C, we're going to keep that there. All we're going to do is bring our middle finger up and pick up the third fret of the A string. So we got that, and then the G string is open now, and then the third fret of the B string, and then the high string is open. So what I do, because you don't want to get that D right there, even though, I mean, that's a note that's in the chord. It's a little tighter sounding if you don't have that in there. So all I do is when I play this chord, I'm using my middle finger here to pick up the A string, but the pad on the front of my finger is just touching the D string just enough, so that way it's muted. Oh, Josh, welcome. Yeah, we were talking about that at the beginning of this. Yeah, it's a mega bummer. He he influenced a lot of people. Great player, and like I was saying, that like the guy has like amazing pitch. Like when he plays, he doesn't hit notes that are bad, and like some of the bending things he would do, he had very very good control over that kind of stuff. All right, so we have the D suspended 2, and then we're going to bring that finger up, so the D string's muted. It's E minor 7 over C, and then we got E minor 7 over B. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move the note on the A string from the third fret to the second fret. So I'll just use my first finger, and again, doing the same thing. My first finger is picking up the A string, but it's also touching the D string here and muting it. So with this, we've got one. We hit the D suspended 2 as a quarter note on beat 1. So it's like 1, and then on the downbeat of 2, we come to the E minor 7 over C, and we hit that 2, E, and. So it's an 8th note and then 2 16th notes. And then that second 16th note is tied to the 16th note on the downbeat of 3. So, and then we hit the next 16th note. We hit that again, and then we go back to the E minor 7 over C, and I can see that it doesn't have the chord name written up there. So just be aware of that. That the one way you can kind of tell is if you just kind of keep your eye on the A string, and you can see where it's going from the third fret to the second fret and then back. So and then it just repeats. Now, again, like what I was talking about, if you were playing this, like on your acoustic guitar, and you're just playing it, it's just you, you're playing it at, barbecue, campfire. On that part, instead of making it punchy like that, I'll just keep that same groove going, that same swing, but I'll just, like that. So it's still got that same melody in there, but it's just, more filled out. Wait a minute. Oh, okay, that was weird. Couldn't the pages were out of order on my screen. All right, so then that leads us to the chorus. So again, if you have any questions about what we just went over, I would be glad to answer them. All right. So on the chorus, we've got that E flat major 7 chord. So another opportunity for me to screw this up. And we've got that, and we've got that F bar chord, or rather this way if you're having issues. Yeah, Crit, I agree that I love stuff like that where it either has like the walking bass line, or where there's just a chordal melody going through it, where there's one note that's changing throughout the chord. I just think that sounds really neat. Welcome, Yuri. Yes, absolutely. You can ask a question, guitar related question. Oh, that was unusual. Dropped my guitar pick and actually found it. All right, and if you're just joining us, there's a link in the description where you can download the tabs for this. All right, so we've got that. We're just going to be going back and forth between the E flat major 7 and F. So we're going to be implementing that that mute strum that we were doing earlier. So here we've got on beat 1. If you're in a guitar shop and they offer you free food, how many chicken nuggets will it take for you to completely blow out the bathroom? Wow, that's a really good question. Um, uh, I'm gonna have to say green. Green. No, 7. Green. 7. Oh, green. I'm just gonna go with green. That's my final answer. All right, so we've got this as on beat 1 is 8th notes. So we've got 1 and then we're going to do that mute. So here what I like to do with this is I'm barring my finger. I'm just not picking up the high E string. Same kind of idea as what I was doing before. And these are things that you just kind of, it's not going to be exactly the same way for everybody, how you manage to mute a string or whatever, because a lot of it has to do with the shapes of your fingers and how much fatty tissue you have on your pad part of your fingers, as to how you do it. But it's just something that you really want to strive to do because it makes you sound better. Yeah, that's pretty weird, but yeah, I'm still sticking with green. So we're going to do 1 and then the mutes starting on beat 2. It's all 16th notes. So we're going to mute the first 3, 2 E and then we hit on the last 16th note. We strum the chord again, and then for beat 3 and 4, it's the same thing. The only thing that's different is that on the and of 4, instead of this chord, that's when we switch to F. So it's going to be like 1 and 2 E and 3 and 4 E and and then it's going to be that same thing. So the next measure is the same as the first, except you're going to do it with F. And on the and of 4 of that measure, it goes back to the E major 7. So it goes back and forth between that, I don't know, 2, 3, maybe 4 times. But the only thing that changes is that he'll do some subtle little differences in where the mutes are. So this is like a really good opportunity to kind of practice that technique, because you can switch it up. Um, there'll be places if you put mutes like on a downbeat where they're playing the full chord, it might make it sound a little bit weird. But if you just kind of practice it, you get where you can feel it out. You may not be doing it exactly the same way, but you'll be doing it a way that still flows and still sounds like the song. Hello, Josh. Thank you. Yeah, this guitar is a Spear Gladius HT SI. So I had a guitar endorsement with Spear, and so like the most of the guitars in my collection are Spears. I have, besides the Spears, I have a couple of Jacksons and a Stratocaster, and yeah, I think that's it for electrics that I have that are not Spears. The rest of them are all Spears. Yeah, so you move with this, you know. And then the page cuts off in a weird place. Trying to remember here. Oh, okay. It took me a minute. I couldn't think of how at the end of it. So it keeps going back before that, and then at the end of it, he just builds up on that. He doesn't do the mutes at the end, so it's like 3 and 4 and then that's where it goes into like the outro chorus, where there's actually 2 guitar parts going on in there. I didn't get that part because it's kind of complicated, and it has 2 different parts that are kind of being played together. But this is like the main meat and potatoes of the song. You can get away with playing it. You could even just do the same kind of chorus just at the end. Jackson Dinky. Yeah, I got 2 Jackson Dinkies. Ibanez RG. I used to have one. Fender Strat, have one. No Gibsons, and I do have a Yamaha classical guitar that I like, one of the oldest pieces of gear I have. As far as I'm meaning old, that I've had it in my possession. Yeah. So anyhow, that is the part. So does anybody have any questions about any of the parts of the song, or just, guitar questions in general? Yeah, I've actually only ever had one Gibson guitar ever. Um, I had a Gibson Sonics, which was it was a weird guitar. It looked like a Les Paul, but it was flat. It was a flat top. It was like kind of like a Les Paul Junior, and then it had like this weird pick guard, and it just had one humbucker in it, I think. Um, and I don't know. I can't remember. There was something about the wood. They weren't like a really popular guitar, but now they have, like a lot of collectors like them and stuff like that. Oh, that's great, Crit. I'm glad to hear that. No idea, Jersey. Still here, you know. So there's that. All right. Well, if nobody has any questions or anything, then we can wrap this up. But I would really like to thank everybody for coming out. Really appreciate it. You know, I wish that I wish it wasn't. It's just kind of it's just sucked about Jeff Beck. Uh, the Jeff Beck pickup in here. Most of my guitars, that's actually what I really like, the JB Seymour Duncan JB. Oh, thank you, Jersey. Appreciate that. All right. Well, again, thanks everybody for coming out. Really appreciate it. If you like what I'm doing, hit the thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel. And if you tuned in late, or maybe you're just tuning in now, there is a link in the description where you can download the tabs, and then when we're done, you can watch the rerun of the video for all the instruction and everything. Oh, you are welcome, Rick. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. And again, if anybody has suggestions or things that they would like to see covered, leave them in the comments. All right. Again, thanks everybody for coming out. Really appreciate it. Hope everybody has a great night. Stay safe, and I will see y'all next week.